Hello everybody and welcome back to yet another cast. Guys, I know that I told you that this next cast would be a bar cast, but unfortunately that is not possible. The computer that I'm using to make my bar cast, my new computer with the 4080, is out of commission right now. The cooler is not working, and so the CPU is overheating. It is reaching temperatures of 215 degrees Fahrenheit or over 100 degrees Celsius for you European people with a sensical temperature system. Anyway, the point is, until I can get the cooler replaced, and I'm waiting for the replacement right now, I cannot do bar casts. I mean, I would have to do it on this older computer, but I would much rather do it with the newer graphics card. So it might be another week or two before I can do bar casts. Guys, I know my bar viewers are like, and they're wanting to kill me. And someone in the comments had talked about, sending a nuke to my house. I wouldn't blame you at this point, but I'm just as frustrated as you are, guys. In the meantime, what I'm going to be doing for this cast, this is going to be a series of 2v2s I played today. Guys, I don't just cast games, I also play games of escalation, and so from time to time I will show you. This one is meant to be more informative. This is kind of all these games are going to be 2v2s, all on different maps, all with different teammates, and so this is meant to be kind of an informative, fun cast of how to play 2v2s, and since I'm actually a player, I can go more into some of the psychology and the decision making. But with that said, guys, let's introduce the players. It's me, the red armed commander here in the bottom left. Here at the top left, it's Shockwave, the dark green armed commander. Here in the top right, we have Reaper as the light blue core commander. And here in dark blue, we have Albatross. So guys, this is an ARM versus core matchup, which should be pretty interesting. I always like the faction matchups. I think it makes it more interesting. On this map is called Scott's Divide. It's a pretty interesting map, to be honest. I think it's got this middle. Obviously, this is the only place that units can get through. But actually, if you control the middle, you get a lot of extra metal. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. So excuse me, there's 6 metal spots and 2 geos in the middle. The only geos in the game are in the middle, so fighting for that metal is actually really important. And there's also reclaim here in the middle as well. A lot of different rocks. And so early in the game, it's pretty normal to send a flea in. Or a mite if you're core, to try to get as many rocks as you can. Now my teammate went air first, right? And so this is really interesting. That means that both my opponents have gone land, and because my teammate went air, I'm more or less going to be 2v1 in the middle. So I recognize that there's a lot of pressure on me to hold the middle more or less by myself while my teammate can slowly build up his base. Guys, starting air first is it's slow. I mean, you can do some kind of bombing shenanigans, but in general, you're not going to really be helping your teammate too much early on. And so I've started out by building a ton of peewees and sending them to the middle to try to take control. Again, the middle is really important. You don't want to let your opponents claim that area. You don't want to let your opponents get the middle, so fighting for the middle is really important. Now guys, early on, Peewees versus AKs, Peewees are always going to win that in close range. Peewees do more DPS. The advantage of the AK is that its range is just a little tad longer, and its weapon is more precise. The Peewee uses a weapon called an EMG, so it's like a rapidly firing machine gun, but they're not completely accurate, and especially over the further the distance, the less accurate they are. But the AK's laser is precise and accurate. Oh my gosh, it looks like he's shooting his teammate's gator there. I don't know what the deal is with that. Okay, so yeah, those two had an ally. That was weird. I don't know why they didn't ally at the beginning. But anyways, guys, it was random teams, so we did have to ally. But I think it's fixed now. Both teams are allied, so we shouldn't be seeing units shooting each other. But again, guys, here I am 2v1, so I'm going to have to fend off gators and AKs, and also try to get a handle on my economy as well. I'm building a second K-Bot lab because, guys, again, I'm 2v1 here in the mid, so I know I'm going to have to be pumping out a lot of units. I just won't have that much. There's just not that much room for greediness since my teammate has already been very greedy, and my teammate Shockwave going air first, of course. Not the fastest start. Now he will give me some support with freedom fighters, but to be honest, it's very minimal. I am basically 2v1 here. And these freedom fighters will send out, you know, a missile or two, but it's very kind of insignificant in the big scheme of things. Now, guys, given that I am 2v1, warriors are a great option. Given that they have instigators and AKs, warriors are a very powerful unit to just kind of get into the fray. Guys, the weakness of the warrior is that it's sort of slow. So the warrior, the armed warrior is, let's see, I think it's called the warrior, or actually, let's see what the actual name of it is. Medium assault K-Bot. But it could also be called the riot K-Bot. I mean, it's probably the most powerful T1 unit at close range. But of course, it does have to be very close range to really work to its full effectiveness. And as you can see, the enemy team really stockpiling a huge army of units in the mid. And I'm going to finally get some warriors up here. I'm also building Rockos as well. I know that they've got more stuff, so I'm going to have to out micro them and kind of outplay them here. So first, I'm sending in my peewees to kind of act as a wall. They are now doing their attack, and the first warriors are now making it up. But guys, you'll be able to see once these warriors get into range, they will absolutely cleave through everything here. It's an unbelievably powerful T1 unit, and if you can get in range of like the AKs and all that stuff, there's nothing stronger early on. The warrior's weakness in some ways is that it's slow. And it's short range, so the enemy can kite it. But if you can get it into that almost melee range, it will shred through just about anything. So my plan here was kind of like warriors in the front and Rockos or thuds in the back. So warriors kind of acting as the tanky front line, and then having kind of an artillery type unit for support. But yeah, a nice little battle here in the mid so far. Fortunately for me, the slashers and the crashers here, they can't outrange my warriors, but they don't do much damage at all. Let's see how many kills this one has. 5 kills on this warrior, 5 kills on that one. And this Rocco has 4 kills. That Rocco has 2 kills. So you can see, guys, like individually, my units have a lot of kills. Between those two warriors and those 2 Roccos, they had 16 kills. So they're highly efficient. Like my composition has been extremely efficient, with each unit doing a lot of damage, and that's ideal. You really, if you can use each unit that effectively, then you know you're building a nice counter to their army. Now, guys, I did decide it was time to push through here. 3 warriors in the front are just going to kind of cleave through anything. MAKs are actually a decent counter to warriors because they outrange the warriors. They do a lot of damage and they actually outrange them. They don't have as much health, but you can kite warriors with MAKs pretty well. But as you can see, this is a pretty successful push. The warriors are in the front for the tankiness, and the Rocco's kind of in the back for the longer range fire support. That is the idea. And my teammate bringing through some javelins as well. So right now we are on the aggressive. Guys, it is important in team games to counterattack. They sent the first attack through. We cleaned it up pretty well, and then once their forces had been wiped out, we decided it was time to send our own attack in. And that is what we did. Speed it up a little bit. So Shockwave doing pretty well here with these javelins. And you know, ultimately we're doing some pretty good economic damage here. We're taking out metal extractors. Guys, the better you can work as a team in a 2v2, it's obviously the better off that you're going to be. So Shockwave doing a decent job here of bringing these javelins in behind my first attack to take out some eco. And guys, this map is pretty small, but I don't know, that's part of the reason it's interesting. Really quick combat. And guys, now that we've kind of taken the mid, we've begun building defense here. I'd like to hold the mid. Like, again, we can get geos and metal and map control. So the mid is very important on this map. Very valuable position to hold. And guys, this time I brought hammers instead of Roccos. I still have the warriors, but I'm using hammers. And the reason for that is that the hammers can outrange defenses. I'm kind of in a sieging mode right now, trying to attack the players' bases, and I figure if they have any kind of laser towers or defenders, things like that, the hammers will be a pretty nice counter. And ultimately, blue does push this off. I mean, so he does have enough MAKs to you know, ultimately stop this push. As I said, MAKs are decent counters to warriors because they can outrange them, and they are perfectly accurate. But as you guys can see, you know, we did a lot of economic damage. We're putting them behind. We're getting control of the middle here. You know, I've built this nice line of defense, and that will give us access to more eco. This map doesn't have a ton of eco as it is. This map is kind of where it's smaller. There's not like a huge amount of metal, but you know, so the more territory that you can claim, obviously, the better. And I'm also, you know, now that I have this line of defense, I'm using these hammers to kind of siege anything that gets near the mid. I kind of pulled any hammers I had on their side of the map back to the mid. So I'm using, you know, the laser towers as a stationary front, and then the hammers as a kind of bludgeoning tool. And it's very effective, as you can see. If they try to move in here, they're just going to get shredded. They do mark the defense with a blue mark, a line. But anyway, I also have 4 constructors building windmills. Wind was pretty good on this map. My teammate seems to disagree. He seems to be going the solar collector route. But guys, my teammate is on T2, and I'm working to T2. But I think part of the reason that Shockwave was able to get to T2 is because I was kind of I've been holding the mid. I've been applying a pressure. He has helped, so Shockwave has been a good teammate, but he used this opportunity to detect the T2 very quickly. While I kind of kept the pressure on them, and guys, you can see, like, you don't always have to finish off your opponents. You know, sometimes you need to know when to apply pressure and when to retreat. I think if we had continued attacking, or if I had continued attacking, that would have just been a waste of my resources, because you know, blue is building the right counters, and so, you know, we inflicted the economic damage we needed to, and then pulled back to the middle. So guys, discretion is a better part of valor. Know when to push your advantage and know when to retreat. As you can see, I pretty much, once we did that damage, I pretty much stopped producing units and went straight to T2. I'm now working on a Moho extractor. So I've pretty much stopped production of all combat units. I'm relying on what I already have in the middle, which is good enough for now to hold them off. Or at least it seems like it to me. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but at the time it seemed like what I had was enough to hold them off. And then I'm going to upgrade my eco, build some defenders in case they want to do any airplay shenanigans. But guys, part of being good TA players is knowing when to go into mass production mode. Like earlier in the game, I was just mass producing from 2 K-Bot labs. I ended up reclaiming 1 K-Bot lab. I didn't need it anymore. But once we did enough economic damage, took control of the mid, then I just stopped producing military altogether and went purely into eco phase, went straight into T2. I'm still building windmills, building mohos. I built some metal makers. So guys, I'm full into eco now. And you can see I have the best eco in the game. I've got 42 metal, or almost 43 metal per second, and 900 energy. So you've got to know when to mass produce, when to pump out units, and when to eco up, and when to alternate between those phases. Sometimes you can do both at once. You can kind of half upgrade your eco, half build units. It doesn't have to be one extreme or the other. But guys, in this case, I built an infiltrator. This is an invisible kind of K-bot. It can cloak, because I want to know what my opponent's doing. Scouting is so important, especially in 2v2s. You need to know what your enemies are doing, so you can defend against it. If you don't know what your opponents are doing, then you could be in a lot of trouble. But right now, it seems like what they're doing is just building units. Dark Blue is on T2, and he's now pumping out pyros, but Light Blue is just building a lot of raiders and also some of these vandals, which is a long-range T1 unit. And as you can see, the range of the vandal is pretty impressive. It's kind of huge, actually. It's surprisingly big. And I mark that for my teammate just so he knows I'm getting sieged here. And guys, in this case, all I can really do is pull my units back. He's going to kill my defenses, and there's not too much I can do about it. But I'm still ecoing up here. I'm working on my third. Actually, I'm working on my 4th and 5th Moho, and I've decided it is now time to pump out Zeus's. I have ecoed up long enough. I've spent like the past 5-10 minutes just ecoing up. So now I'm going to pump out Zeus's, and the enemy team has decided that this is the moment to attack. Now my teammate here, guys, this is important to note. He is putting bulldogs and atlases. So he is doing a shenanigans, crazy. Like, I'm going to put these bulldogs and these atlases. He's going to fly them over the wall. He's pretty smart. He's using these Jeffies to take out the pulverizers. So my teammate taking out the air defense and now flying bulldogs over and atlases. Guys, this is diabolical. He has scouted the enemy position. He knows that there's nothing here. He has totally bypassed the defenses. And in these two, I think 2 atlases or 5 bulldogs that will just kind of appear on the east side. In the meantime, they're going to push through. And they've already wiped out all my defenses really quickly. Now it is down to me to kind of defend the middle. Luckily, I have just started producing Zeus's here. Zeus is a very powerful frontline unit, and it's especially good against what they have right now. Guys, building counters is so important. Like, you've got to know what counters to build and when to build them. Against this composition that they have, Zeus beats everything. Zeus beats MAK, they outrange them. Or maybe they're similar range, but they're much stronger. Zeus beat Pyros because they outrange them, and they have more health. Zeus's, obviously the Vandals can outrange the Zeus's, but the Vandals are inaccurate against units on the move. So Zeus's and Thuds here, a great combo, and it counters what they're doing. Now Dominators actually counter Zeus's pretty well because they can outrange the Zeus's and kite them like this, but he only has a few right now. But in the meantime, my teammate with his Bulldog airdrop has just been shredding Light Blue's base. So guys, this was just a really good team play by us. We did a good job of, you know, I held off that attack on mid, and my teammate flew some bulldogs through. And now Dark Green chasing Reaper's Commander. Reaper's Commander is at kind of like one hit here. He's juking and jiving, but Blue I think just left the game, and Light Blue will follow him. So guys, that was a pretty good game. Yeah, me saying to my teammate, you know, you and your drops. Shockwave is kind of known for this drop play, and I'm not going to take anything away from him. I think the drop play is really cool, actually. I think it's one of the really neat things about escalation that you don't see in other games. You know, I don't see it much in Bar. I don't even know if it's possible in Protea, because I think the way transports work in Protea is different. But I like that drops are possible in escalation. I like that it's a viable strategy. It creates a ton of options and diversity in terms of what you can do. So it's really cool to see it used in that way. And of course, using his Jeffies to see where the air defense was, so he could fly his. You know, Atlases are pretty weak; they can die really quickly. So he made sure that he wasn't going to fly his Atlases full of bulldogs into air defense, and he just dropped those off. And but either way, guys, that was some really good team play between with Shockwave and I, and ultimately we do pull that one out. So guys, let's go on to the next game. Hello everybody, and welcome to game 2 of these 2v2 series I played. Guys, like I said, every game there were different teammates. There was 4 of us, so every game that I'm going to show, we had the teams were different. But guys, this time we're playing on a map called Extreme Corruption, which is guys, this is a 5v5 map. It's a little big, I think, for a 2v2. It's huge, and there's kind of a lot to try to manage for just 2 players. Obviously, it's not impossible, but yeah, these big maps, these massive maps for 2 players can be pretty difficult. Oh wow. Let me go ahead and introduce the players real quick. There's me here in the top right is Arm, the red Arm commander again. My teammate Reaper in light blue. We have here in, I think this is gold, Albatross, or brown. We'll say brown. This is Albatross. And in dark green, we have Shockwave. So I think the colors are mostly the same. Last game, Albatross was in blue, but guys, I did not know that you could build tidal generators in these little ponds. I think that's actually pretty interesting. If I had known that, I probably would have built some tidal generators. Energy is very important early on, especially. You want to make sure you can get energy as cheaply and effectively as possible. But guys, let's go ahead and just speed it up here. This map is huge, and so obviously early on is just going to be a lot of building, just a lot of eco type stuff. Now, one thing that's interesting about this, it's a pretty well designed map. I will say I just think it's built for bigger games. Like 2v2 on this map seems a little outrageous. I mean, it can be done obviously, but it kind of takes a while to get going. But the thing about this map that's interesting is obviously you have this path in the mid that's pretty flat and open, but then you have these two little side islands that have two entrances. So they have an entrance here and an entrance here. And then to the other side, it's symmetrical, so it's the same way. So you can come in, say, from either of these ramps, and then you can go out either this way or this way. So for example, you could come in this way and move all the way around the mountain there and come down that way. So it's really interesting. It opens up a lot of different avenues of attack on your opponents, which is it's a pretty neat feature. Brown is now pumping out a lot of different AKs here early on, and my teammate building a lot of instigators. So guys, at this point in the game, I was being pretty greedy. I've only, for the most part, built construction vehicles. I'm trying to get as much of the map as I can, as quickly as I can. I've also tried to build some defenses around these in case there's like a random weasel or flash or whatever. I can kind of protect myself. But Shockwave going straight into T2 here, really not even building units for the most part. Just extremely, extremely greedy. I am now starting to pump out some flashes. Of course, I'm being pretty greedy too. The only two players not being greedy here are light blue and brown. So guys, one of the things that's fun about 2v2s is like seeing how greedy you can be. Now Brown has he has pinged his teammate asking, "Are you going to build any units?" Kind of seeing that he's being unbelievably greedy, but of course I'm being pretty greedy as well. So I have built like 6 flashes, and I specifically put them at these entrances here so I couldn't get bamboozled. But here in the middle, there's going to be an engagement of AKs and instigators. Nice leveler. Guys, I've talked in the past about how strong levelers are against AKs and most T1 units. It's just, oh my god, they're just so strong. The leveler is called the riot tank for a reason. 8 kills on this one. 8 kills, and it's still pretty much full health. So yeah, these levelers are just the bane of AKs and flashes and instigators and all that kind of close range raiding unit. So nice composition by my teammate. Really well done. And he will take this early advantage on in the middle, and it doesn't help that his dark green, his teammate is building basically nothing. You know, he's going to move down here. I'm starting to pump out flashes now, big time. So I don't know. Looking back at this game, I think maybe I might have over-defended. Guys, if you look at all my metal spots, I tried to build some defense because I just didn't know how aggressive they were going to be. You know, for example, dark green is sending a lot of scouts up here. And most of my metal extractors are defended. And my teammate continuing to put good pressure on here. He's got a nice combination of instigators and levelers. I'm kind of building up flashes as well. So guys, just looking at the replay here, if I had gone like, let's say 3 factories, the race strat, I think if I had just gone the race strat, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 factories just pumping out units, my teammate and I probably could have just overwhelmed them because dark green is just kind of building nothing. He's built 1 warrior. He's working on... I mean, he's on T2 now. He's got a Maverick, but I think the 2 of us, if we had just gone kind of straight into just the overwhelm spam strat together, we probably just could have won. But guys, on a map like this big, it's hard to tell. I mean, there's such a distance between the 2 bases. It's difficult to know what they're even doing. But my teammate's still doing a really good job here. He does take out the aircraft plant. Really good rating, and now I'm bringing some flashes through to take out some more of dark green's economy. But yeah, my teammate ends up getting 2 labs there. Really, really well done. By Reaper, and I'm also trying to inflict more economic damage with these flashes. With a similar idea as last game of like, I'm just trying to... I don't think I'm going to be able to kill my opponent, but I'm just trying to inflict as much economic damage as possible here early on to try to get an economic advantage and then take control of the game. But again, my mistake in some ways was going T2 here. Well, then again, they're on T2, so I don't know if pumping out T1 now. It would probably be too late. It would probably be too late at this point. But if earlier I had just, with my teammate, gone mass factories. Of course, he's on T2 now. Guys, there's just, like, on a map this big, it's hard. It's really a gamble on a map this big to... invest all your resources in just T1, because if it doesn't work, if the gambit doesn't pay off, and you don't overwhelm your opponents, you know, they can get to T2 and then they're going to have an advantage over you. But I do send some peepers down, so I'm getting some scouting of the enemy base here. And what I see, I mark, right? So you can see I put dots on the factories. I put 1 on the advanced K-Bot lab. And one thing I notice here is that Shockwave doesn't really have great air defense. So, and then my scouts fly through here. Guys, scouting is so important in team games. It's so important. Now, what I saw of Shockwave here made me believe he was just going pure ground, okay? His air factory had been destroyed. All he has are a few labs. And unfortunately, he starts building this aircraft plant after I've already scouted. So, like, I don't understand what he's doing here. I just thought he was on T2 and spamming out Jeffies and K-Bots and whatever else. But economically, you can see I'm doing the best in the game. I'm 70 metal per second now, so I'm absolutely crushing it in economy. And given that I saw how little air defense dark green had, I'm like, I'm going T2 bombers, right? I see this opportunity. His base has almost no air defense at all, and you know, I'm still taking out his eco. I'm trying to cripple him and going straight into T2 bombers. And I'm like, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna bomb him into the Stone Age. We've already got an economic advantage. Both of us, well. yeah, both of us have a better. Well, I guess Reaper. Yeah. I think Reaper and Reaper is about even with Brown, but either way, like our team has more eco than their team. So you know, we've inflicted that economic damage. Obviously, we could have tried harder to end it earlier, and I think if I had if I had known that Dark Green was basically building no units early on, I would have taken better advantage of that. But either way, guys, it feels like we're in a really good position here, and I'm just going to start pumping out those T2 bombers. Let's see what Brown's just building some pyros here, and go ahead and get rid of that marker. Let's see what my teammate's doing. My teammate is on T2, pumping out some Manticores. So, guys, overall, it's still a pretty even game. But I felt like we had a. I felt like we did a pretty good job early on. Brown's going to push in here with some pyros. And this is a pretty strong attack. Guys, I've said many times in previous casts that pyros are an incredibly useful tool. At the early T2 phase, pyros are one of the strongest units. They're fast, they do a lot of damage, they have a decent amount of health, and they're great at raiding. They're a great raiding unit. They shred pretty much any T1, no problem. So pyros are great early on. They definitely lose a lot of effectiveness as the game, especially in escalation. Less so. I mean, pyros are also good in bar. I don't know so much about pyros in Pro TA because I've never seen them, but pyros in bar are very similar. Like at the early T2 phase, they're very strong. But they definitely fall off. And I think they fall off even more in escalation because you can go to T4. So the longer the game goes, the less pyros, the less useful they are generally. But right now they're very useful. And as you can see, Brown has moved through with these, and that one has 2 kills, 3 kills, 2. So they all have a few kills, all doing pretty good. And we haven't been able to stop this. Brown with a really good timing attack here, you know, building those pyros at the right time that we just didn't have the counters for them, and he's going to move through our base and do a lot of damage here. But Dark Green has cleared out all the. You know, I was trying to take control of this ridge here, but Dark Green has cleared it out, and Brown now kind of keeping us busy with these pyros, and. I do decide to kind of wall this off because I don't want those pyros to get in there and you know, tear up my geos. So I build a wall of dragon's teeth, you know, and some light laser towers, and yeah, I'm doing the best I can here. In the meantime, starting to pump out bulldogs. You know, bulldogs are a pretty good counter to pyros. So guys, economically, I'm still in the lead. I have 77 metal per second. My teammate Reaper has 61, so economically, even with the pyro raids, we're still doing better, and we're pushing off the pyro raids pretty well. Well, this one pyro does get up here, but the geo plant will be enough to stop him. So even though those pyros got through, I'd say we're doing a decent job of stopping them. Here's the problem, guys. I do send some more scouts here. Yeah, I send some more scouts, but unfortunately they don't make it. Oh, this one might. So guys, I just didn't. I think my scout flew here, so I didn't see this group of atlases. If I had seen this group of atlases, I would have known what was happening. But just like in the last game, Reaper is doing some drop shenanigans. This time he's putting Mavericks in the Atlases. And guys, the problem is that Mavericks are much more deadly than Bulldogs. Mavericks have, I think, one of the highest DPSs in the game. I am building some Phoenixes to bomb his base. And guys, I absolutely could have bombed his base. These 8 defenders here and the few defenders in his base would not have been enough to stop a kind of a dedicated bombing run. I am finally sending these Bulldogs down to the front, and the truth is that both of us, with this combined push of Bulldogs and Reapers, this is basically this is a very scary push. I've got some Samsons for air defense as well. But guys, this Maverick drop is coming, and this is pretty scary because I don't have any air defense here. He's scouted it really well, and this is looks to be like about 10 Mavericks and 4 Pyros. And guys, I have no idea this is coming. If you look at my screen, I don't have radar of this. I guess I see it now. But guys, by the time that I notice this is coming, it is too late. This is a very bad situation. This many Mavericks. However, here in the mid, we have again a pretty decent push, but you know, Bulldogs versus Pyros is pretty lopsided. But the problem is these Mavericks are now moving through, and the DPS of the Maverick is just outrageously high. It's guys, Mavericks used to be broken, like straight up OP. Now I think they're pretty well balanced. But there was a patch or two where Mavericks just ruled the game. Their DPS is still insanely high. They're just not as fast as they used to be. They used to be like speedy Gonzalez too. But guys, you can see these Mavericks will shred through Bulldogs. And the problem is that, like, I do not have any defense in my base against this. Now guys, I do have about 8 bombers here. And with those 8 bombers, I could have taken out Dark Green's base, but unfortunately, he's in my base. I start running with my commander here. And I bring those bombers in to do some bombing against the Mavericks, try to slow them down a little bit. We can just kind of see. Let me slow it down. So guys, I shoot out a D-gun here. This is a really good one. I kill like 5 right there, and I think there's only 2 Mavericks left. And I try to do another D-gun, but I think it was on cooldown. And I get one off, but those 2 Mavericks killed my commander within seconds. So I'm out of the game. Guys, very well played by Shockwave there. A very nice Mav draw. We were so far ahead. So my Bulldogs were already here, and my Samsons. And then with these Reapers coming through, we were just about to win the game. I had about 8 bombers. There's almost no air defense. I could have taken out his base. If I had even just played that a little better with my commander and done the D-guns a little better, I could have survived that, and we could have won the game. But guys, it just goes to show it's not always about who's further ahead. It's not about who has the better economy. Sometimes it's just about using those strategies that are very unorthodox or unexpected and catching your opponent by surprise. And now that it's 2v1, my teammate, I think he more or less gives up. He quits within a couple minutes of this. He may have been able to win without me, but 2v1 is difficult, guys. It's not impossible. I've seen some 2v1s happen before, but ultimately Reaper will he will tap out, I think, before he's killed or anything. Even though his economy is better, I think maybe he should have played this out. And I don't know if he could have won, but maybe if he had brought his Reapers in this way. But guys, in some ways that was a scouting fail on my part. I did send some peepers down a few times, but I just didn't I didn't catch wind of what was happening until it was too late. Reaper's saying in the chat, well, I should quit. And ultimately he does quit here. So anyways, guys, that will be that game. Um, it was pretty. I thought that was an interesting game just to show you. Even though I lost to Shockwave's shenanigans, it was still a really interesting game. It was interesting to show that like we definitely could have early on just gone for like mega 2-1 push, even though it's a huge map. We could have won that way if we had just committed to it. And even if I had just played that Maverick attack a little better, if I had just used my commander, my D-guns a little better, if I had survived that, I definitely, I think we definitely would have won. I could have, you know, made I could have protected my base in such a way that another Maverick drop wouldn't have worked. Like it wouldn't have worked the second time. But all it takes is once, guys, and that's why I really like drops in escalation. I like that like I don't think what Shockwave did was cheap at all. I think it was very well designed, just like in the first game. Worked really well. I mean, what can you say? It was a good strategy. Worked against me. It obviously caught me off guard, and you know, that's all it takes is sniping your opponent's commander. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed that one, and let's go to Game 3. There's one more game here that I want to show you. Okay, guys, welcome to Game 3 of this 2v2 set that I played. Guys, this time we are on a map called Lunar Rush. This is it's a moon map, so there's no wind. Basically, it's solar collectors only, and it seems like Shockwave found that out the hard way, that it was a moon map. Guys, ignore this commander. That's the replay commander. That doesn't count. Just moving him to a corner. But guys, this time my teammate will be Albatross. The second game, my teammate was Reaper, and the first game, my teammate was Shockwave. So every game, we had different teammates. And let me, I guess, just introduce us real quick. I'm here in the top left, the red armed commander a third time. My teammate, blue, Albatross, the core commander. Here in the bottom left, in light blue, Reaper, the core commander. And here in the bottom right, Shockwave, the yellow arm commander. So guys, I think this is a better 2v2 map than the last one. It's much smaller. Like, obviously vertically it's kind of long, but horizontally it's pretty short, so it's a long map. My teammate said let's hold the mid, and that does seem like a pretty a good strat. I had never played on this map before, but you can kind of see the mid is choke pointed a little bit. You've got these two kind of entrances, and then otherwise you've got this kind of mountainous passes. You might be able to get some K-bots over these, but for the most part, you know, this is going to be the middle. If you can kind of wall or defense this off, it's going to be difficult for your opponents to break through. Now, guys, this game I made an interesting decision that this is the first time I will do this. If you guys noticed in the previous games, I just kept my commander back at the starting position just to guard my vehicle plant. This time I've decided to take my commander forward and use him for building. And that's just because, guys, on this map, there wasn't a ton of metal early on. And so my commander was just going to kind of sit at my base and do nothing. And I preferred him to actually be on the map building things rather than just sitting at the vehicle plant doing nothing. My commander is in some ways your most powerful tool. You don't want him to just be a glorified builder. He can also be used offensively as well. And so this game, I'm not just going to leave him in the base. I'm going to make use of him out on the battlefield. My teammate getting a little bit of early game harassment done. Looks like he'll take out a couple mexes. And here light blue brings forward, it looks like about 9 AKs. He will walk right past my commander. Yellow, okay, this is interesting. Yellow spams my comm, so Shockwave realizes that my comm is kind of out in the open. And this is interesting. So I didn't know this because I haven't watched the replay. Shockwave realizes my comm isn't in my base. So he's spamming like go, go, go. Like he's thinking that my main base is exposed. And it kind of is, right? I don't have a ton of defense in my main base. My comm isn't there to defend it. So it's interesting. He could have tried to kill my commander there, but I probably just would have. Well, I didn't have much energy. I guess he didn't know that I didn't have energy. But that might have been actually a good opportunity to actually try to kill my commander there, since I'm stalling on energy. I did build a couple flashes here, but yeah, I was using those to attack. And now he will split his AKs here. And you see in my base I have one LLT, one defender. Shockwave spamming my vehicle plant here. But that one LLT will take out most of the AKs, and there's only 2 left here. So I'm gonna spam out I'm gonna get a flash out as soon as I can. And unfortunately with these 2 AKs, even though this flash is gonna take the long way around and kind of get pathinged, it will eventually get on top of these. And so guys, ultimately that could have gone a lot worse, but I had just enough defense and I was able to pump out a couple flashes just in time to prevent something more catastrophic. Now yellow has built a million, literally a million peewees here, and he will take out my flash. But ultimately, Shockwave right now has the highest economy, doing pretty good. Shockwave played pretty well in all 3 games. I mean, Shockwave was performing really well. But yeah, I do barely hold off that attack there. And at the front here with my commander, I'm now building a K-Bot lab, so I'm going straight into production now, pumping out flashes, building a K-Bot lab closer to the front. Obviously, K-Bots are slower. And let's see. Looks like light blue pumping out a lot of thuds and maybe some MAKs. So guys, right now we are sort of building our armies and sort of posturing here. But how does yellow have such a great eco? I think maybe he just has more. Oh, I think he's stealing his teammates' mexes. I think that's why. I think yellow's kind of being really greedy. So Reaper has the worst eco in the game. Because Shockwave kind of seems like Shockwave took most of his metal spots there. But guys, now we are going to attack Blue and I with a combination of AKs and flashes. Pushing down. Guys, MAKs are a nice counter to flashes and AKs. And when we see that there's MAKs there, we just kind of back off because that is a really good counter. One thing that I've tried to show in all 3 games is that like counters are so important. Like it's not about how many units you have, it's about having the right kind of units. And right now light blue's composition is just very strong against what we have. These MAKs are devastating. And I do now have a warrior though. If a warrior can get into range of this stuff, it will be pretty good. And overall though, those MAKs, let's see how many kills they have. This one has 10 kills and this one has 4. 11 kills on this MAK. And so yeah, these MAKs have just been really, really good at this part of the game. And I will finally kill that one, but blue's built quite a few light laser towers here. That will make it difficult for yellow to move through. And to be honest, yellow probably should have attacked with his teammate there, but of course that would have opened him up for blue to counterattack his base, so maybe that's why he kept his units back there. He didn't want to accidentally put himself in a position that he can get counterattacked by blue. But guys, we did say we're going to control the middle, so blue going to take that side. I'm going to try to take the middle here. And right now, light blue just pumping out looks like a lot of storms. But blue deciding to move in here. There's not a ton of defense here on the west side of the map. And now yellow is going to move into counterattack. But guys, I decided that the best composition against what I was seeing was warriors and stumpies. And the reason for that is because warriors and stumpies are decent against MAKs. They're both very tanky. They can survive the MAKs long enough to get into range. They're also pretty good against just flash spam. So these are like the tankiest units that you can build for ARM. This is the tankiest K-bot and the tankiest vehicle. And so the idea, guys, was like what I was seeing, including the defenses. My strategy here was to just brute force through it. Stumpies and warriors don't have the greatest range, but they do have a lot of health, and they are pretty decent, especially against defenses, because you can just kind of unless they have, I mean, even if they have Dragon's Teeth, the Stumpies kind of arc over the Dragon's Teeth, so this is just a good composition for just brute forcing your way into the enemy base. Now, of course, the downside of this composition is that it's expensive. All of these units kind of cost a lot, the Stumpies and the Warriors, but either way, that was my plan here. Stumpies and Warriors, just brute force through the enemy, brute force through the MAKs, and through all the defenses, and just kind of brute force into the enemy base. And, you know, obviously the thuds are going to outrange them. Even the MAKs are going to kind of outrange it. But that's not really what this composition cares about. You're not trying to, you know, you're not trying to be elegant. You're not trying to be pro. You're just right-clicking into the enemy base and having enough health to survive it. Now, guys, one thing I do here that's really interesting, he's chasing this army, and I have these two warriors here, and so I bring these warriors back and then create a triangle here to catch these thuds that are chasing my main army there. But I will kill most of those thuds, but now the MAKs are here. So for the most part, this will get wiped out. But guys, as you can see, just looking at the mega map, I've wiped out most of light blue's eco on the northwest side of his base. So you know, even though I haven't struck a killing blow or anything, we are just ahead economically. Light blue only has 15 metal per second. And guys, this is an interesting part of the game, because like I decide like it's not time to go T2, right? Like this is a moment where I feel like in my first game, and how I was talking about know when to pump out units and know when to tech or build eco. This for me felt like a moment of like build eco. Even though yellow is on T2, right? And my teammate's on T2, I feel like this is the moment not to go to T2, but just to keep pumping out this army of Stumpies and Warriors. Simply because I know that light blue's economy is crippled. He's only on 1 K-bot lab. He can't really mount an effective defense. He's, you know, I have much more economy than him and much higher production. Like, just in terms of raw resources, and production, I'm gonna overwhelm him. And blue is kind of keeping yellow busy, so I don't tech up here. I could have teched up, but I felt like this is the time to push. This is the time to mass produce units and just try to win the game. And I think light blue here making a very tactical mistake, moving his units into mine, because I have a lot more. And guys, again, this composition of Stumpies and Warriors was designed to counter what he was building, and it did it really well. Stumpies and Warriors against MAKs and Storms seem to be performing really well. Some Jethros in there for vision, guys. Sending some peepers down. I want to see what he's doing here. I see that he's going to T2, which is a mistake, because he needs to be spending all of his resources now on defenses or production. But yeah, light blue is in a lot of trouble. Yellow is sending his force to try to help his teammate here. But here's light blue's commander. And these 3 light laser towers are not going to last too long against this composition. And the only thing he has left here, guys, the only defense that light blue has left is the D-gun. Now, guys, I tried to do the best that I could here. When you know that they're going to start D-gunning you, you want to try to spread out your units to avoid D-guns. You know, you want to try to get your units into kind of a circle. You know, you don't want to have them in a line. There's something up with this vision. But guys, I was doing the best I could here to try to spread my units out. Try not to give them easy targets. And there's a lot of Stumpies. Unfortunately, guys, Stumpies are not the best targets against commanders, but there is still a Warrior, and Warriors have pretty high DPS. So I'm pretty spread out. I have a pretty nice concave here. I've still got a Warrior and 2 Stumpies. But he will take out 2 there. And but I've still got a Jethro and a Stumpy. His commander is super low. Oh my god, one more shot, and he barely survives that. So guys, very nice D-gunning there by light blue, and he will barely survive that engagement. And so ultimately that attack, guys, did not kill him. I think if I had maybe played it a little bit better, I could have taken him out. But ultimately I decided not to do that. Blue moving in here with some pyros, but guys, like I said in the second game, Bulldogs versus pyros, you know, Bulldogs are gonna win that every time. So Blue's either gonna have to retreat or lose those pyros. But guys, after that failed attack, I knew his commander was one hit, but I just had nothing to... Maybe if I had built a bomber, I could have tried to snipe him, but I decided at that point to go into T2 because that attack failed. It didn't completely fail because I did once again kind of stall his T2 and put him behind. So in some ways I didn't lose anything because I was still producing back at my base. I was teching to T2. But ultimately, this is what I'm talking about, like, know when to attack, know when to, know when to mass produce, and then know when to tech up and go into eco. So after that attack, I decided instead of sending another army, I would tech up and try again once I have a better composition or once I have better technology. Guys, you can see my energy is really struggling if you look at my bar here in the bottom left. No, guys, one thing that's interesting is that despite all of that happening, despite being on the offense and staying staying on T1 for so long, my economy is still really good. So I didn't really fall behind by staying on T1. I've got right now the best energy production in the game, and looks like the second best metal. My teammate has better metal than me, but basically, you know, even though I didn't kill his commander, I also didn't really fall behind, and that's important. You know, it's important to make sure that if you're gonna, you know, if you're gonna do something risky like that, to have a fallback plan. But the thing is, my teammate here has some really good defense. He's got a lot of late laser towers, Punisher. You know, Yellow's going to have a hard time attacking into that for sure. And I've built quite a bit of defense here. Now, I don't have as good of a defense as Blue, but I've got a lot of defenders and some light laser towers in my commander as well. So, you know, it's not as impressive as Blue's, but it would still be difficult to break through here, especially with all these warriors that I have in the front. And Dark Blue is still trying to recover from the from earlier. So guys, I send some peepers down because I'm trying to get some scouting. I'm trying to see what Light Blue is doing. I see that he has finished the T2 K-Bot lab. And now that I see what Light Blue is doing, I decide to scout Yellow, Shockwave. Guys, I knew that in the last game, Shockwave had you know, done that diabolical Maverick drop. So I assumed he was going to be doing something else like that. You know, something else really cheeky or unorthodox, or, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Just kind of cheesy. You know, I figured Yellow would be doing something kind of cheesy. And so I tell my teammate, Yellow going Brawler. So Yellow's obviously going for a commander snipe. He knows, you know, he's trying to win the game in this cheesy way, the same way he did in the second game. But this time, I was looking for it. And my teammate even said not surprised, right? So, like, we kind of both knew that he was going to be doing something, you know, a little bit unsavory, and this time going for a Brawler commander snipe. So once I saw that, I felt a lot more comfortable, because it's like, all right, now we know what Yellow's doing. Now we know what kind of, you know, foolery that he's up to. You know, what kind of diabolical plan that he's hatching. You know, I immediately start building a flak in my base. Guys, flak is one of the best, probably the best defense against brawlers. Make sure you have flak if your opponent is going gunships. And guys, now it is time for another attack. This time I have some Panthers mixed in as well as the Warriors. And Panthers are going to be better against the Commander. They're longer ranged than the Warriors. They're quite a bit faster. And certainly they're going to be better against Commanders than the Stumpy. So this is my second major attack against Light Blue. Of course, his commander still is there, but he's still hurt from the first battle. And Yellow telling him to stay alive, but that's going to be difficult this time, guys. I'm back, and I've got a new army of warriors and panthers this time, and I'm here for revenge. And Light Blue's gonna need some pretty sick D guns. Pretty good one there. He kills 3 warriors. But this time it's not going to be enough, and Light Blue will fall. So guys, now it is just us 2 versus Yellow. Blue pumping out a lot of cans, and of course cans are really good. We've seen in previous games cans can be pretty devastating. And we've got the mid pretty well controlled. And more importantly, we know what yellow's doing. We know that yellow is his main strategy, his real motive is to try to snipe one of our commanders with brawlers. I've got 1 million missile towers here. That's not going to happen. And my base, I have a slingshot and a flak, so it's not going to happen there. I've got a few defenders as well. So guys, we know the brawlers are coming, and we are well prepared for that. And now we are building up an army to try to siege middle and try to win the game. Blue moving in here with his squad of mostly crashers and cans. I've got some panthers here and some warriors left over. The guys, cans are pretty good against bulldogs. Especially if they're spread out, you know, they don't want to get hit by the AoE of the bulldog. But, you know, cans, if positioned correctly, can be really strong against bulldogs. And I've got a few units that have made it in here. I'm going to target this advanced vehicle plant. And here, yellow's sending in some scouts. He's trying to find a place to send his brawlers. Trying to snipe one of us off, but we knew it was coming. We were well aware of the, and of course I'm pinging this like crazily. I want my teammate to know that this is coming, so I do ping it. And again, he goes straight for Blue's commander, but there is a flak, 2 flaks, right there. Waiting for the cobras. I mean, waiting for the brawlers to come in. And ultimately, that plan was well designed, but this time we were ready. I was not going to get caught with my pants down after the second game. I definitely wanted to know what yellow was up to, or what Shockwave was up to. But guys, that will basically be the third game. I thought all those games were interesting. They all kind of had their own teachable moments in them and kind of interesting dynamics. But overall, that was a really interesting game. You know, I basically spent most of the day playing 2v2s and escalations. So guys, I hope you enjoyed those games. It was a lot of fun. You know, it's fun even when you lose, I think, as long as you play it well and learn something. And overall, guys, I hope you enjoyed these games. Like I said, for my bar viewers, I will cast another bar game when I can. It looks like yellow bringing a couple brawlers up here. I didn't even know he had done this. But yeah, I've got so many defenders and flaks and everything. That's just not really gonna fly. But in any case, guys, yellow's gonna tap out here, and that will be a good game. So guys, I think the next series I'm gonna do is the grand finals between Herald and Race, the grand finals of the recent Escalation Pro tournament. That is a best of 5 series, and guys, so be looking out for that. Please join my Discord if you haven't already. We still are going to do this 1K subscriber gaming party. So guys, join the Discord if you haven't. I'll post it in the description. And thank you for watching.